Hello and welcome to the Zero Hanger Mailbag. I'm your host Phoenix Trinidad, and as always I'm joined by Mitch Keating, our Chief AFL Editor. How you going?
Good, thanks mate. Yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad. A short one today, only about 4 questions in the mailbag. Everyone's
Checked out.
checked out for summer.
Draft's finally done.
Yeah, well, a lot of draft questions, so we'll get straight into it. First one comes from Joshua. Who was the steal of the draft?
Steal the draft. Kind of hard to tell. Obviously, you can probably only refer to sliders. Some of the big ones, maybe Ollie Murphy might be one, George Stevens another. Archie Roberts at Essendon actually could be one of the better pickups, given he slipped, I think, about pick 54. A lot of talk about Ari Schoenmaker, and he slipped, I think, 60, 62, so he's another one. I'm trying to think in the first round, like who might have done quite well to get where they got them in the first round. Harry Dimatea could be a good one for the Pies, mid-20s pick. So that might be a nice one for them. St Kilda getting Lance Collard with their second pick. Obviously, first rounders though, so how much really are they steals?
But again, as a 29-person first round,
yeah, that too. If you want to go real top end, and Dan Curtin at pick 8. And Adelaide, trading 2 first-round picks and getting 2 first-round picks, one of them being pick 8 and getting Dan Curtin, that pretty much could be the steal. Like we said, I thought North probably could have gone for him at picks 2 and 3. Hawthorn probably over Watson at pick 4. Dogs probably don't need a key defender. And Melbourne probably could have gotten him over Caleb Windsor. So for Adelaide to swoop in, and obviously there's a lot of demand for Dan Curtin. We'll see why pretty soon when he pulls on the Adelaide colours.
Yep. But going the opposite way, so who were the surprises? Who went higher than you were expecting? Obviously, there was Phoenix Gothard.
Phoenix Gothard was probably one. Oscar Ryan, another one. Those probably were the 2 ones that surprised a few on the first night of the draft. I guess, the Crows, it was the last pick for the Crows, getting Oscar Ryan at 27, so they were pretty happy to just select him, pick him up, and didn't have to worry about any more business. And then Phoenix Gothard, for sure, pick 12. I probably had him close to 30 and potentially sliding back further. So GWS obviously liked what they saw in him. He used to be a GWS Academy member as a youngster, Albury product, so he doesn't have to move too far up to Western Sydney. So everyone's wrapped with that decision for sure.
Yep, absolutely. Someone about those kids named Phoenix. Next question comes from Callum Cumming. Dodoro, it's not really a question, but it's just more of a hot take. Dodoro is the best manager.
Depends who you ask. You ask some of the other recruiters that they might not agree. And some Essendon fans are certainly split. So it's a polarising figure.
Mm-hmm. Depends when in his career you'd ask as well.
Yeah, that too. Obviously, like you look at the Bombers' success over the last 20 years, and it probably hasn't matched up with his reign, but he gets the job done. Mm-hmm. Like he wants someone, he brings them in more often than not. He's good at keeping his assets. If there's something he wants, he's never overpaying. So I think that they often do a pretty good job, and his list building can be decent enough if there's a club that, if the club wants someone, and it's a good chance he gets them. But then at the same time, you do have to transition that into success and not winning.
They can work against
not
you.
Winning final for almost 20 years is obviously a big talking point and a big knock on his tenure. Mm-hmm. But good eye for scouts. He's held that role for so long for a reason. So he is one of the best, I would say.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he certainly has a lot of knocks, whether that's from fellow recruiters and list managers or even just some fans, given the way he goes about his business. But
he's fun in the presses.
Yeah, and he sticks up for his club. That's what you got to do, really. He's the one that gets paid by Essendon, and he's the one that works for Essendon. So he has to do what's best for the club and their recruitment process.
So who else do you rate really highly? Not who do you hate? Who do you rate highly in terms of list managers?
Stephen Wells, Mark McKenzie do really well. Tim Lamb, from a list management point of view, I think does quite well. Adrian Caruso, GWS.
Pretty understated, Adrian Caruso.
Yeah,
not just because he's short, but just like he flies under the radar a bit.
Yeah, like GWS aren't always in the busiest markets, and it's very hard for them to attract good talent. But they just do a really good job of bringing in these role players for cheap prices more often than not. And it's worked out well for them. They've made a couple of prelims over the last 4 or 5 years. And have gotten this close, as well, in making the grand final not too long ago either. So there's plenty to be said about the Giants and how they can recruit players. It's not the easiest job, and Adrian's one that does a fantastic job, I think.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so next question comes from AJ Cole. How many list spots do Hawthorn have?
I don't think they have any. I picked up Chad Wingard and Cooper Stevens via the preseason and rookie drafts respectively on Wednesday. So I don't think they actually have any primary or rookie list spots available. What they can do in a way is have Chad Wingard on the long-term injury list, had that Achilles injury late into this year, which could place him out of action for the entire 2024 season. So the long-term injury list is there as an option. Could give them a spot at the SSP if that's an avenue they go down. Same time, they might have a Category B rookie spot. Fiona O'Hara obviously left the Hawks this off-season, so that might have one opened up for them. But most Category B rookies aren't going to have big impacts in their first year. So from a list point of view and flexibility moving into the new year, there's probably not a lot that they'll be able to look at. And Category Bs you can fill in any time throughout the year. There's no period for them. I don't think they have a list spot from off the top of my head, but they certainly could with Chad Wingard's injury.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and a last one from SFP14. So you reckon Essendon should have picked up George Stevens instead of Roberts all the while?
Getting one of them in through the door was always going to be key for them. They wanted some defensive run, and they get it in spades through both Roberts and Lowell. But whether they should have got Stevens, he's probably not the one for them. Big-bodied inside midfielder. I feel like they've kind of got that in a couple of players, more so getting Will Setterfield in last year. But their midfield's stacked at the moment, whether it's inside and outside, and I think they've kind of got that locked down in their midfield group for the next few years. So I think it would have been, if they were looking elsewhere, maybe a key defender. They could have gone for Ollie Murphy, or maybe another key forward on top of Nate Caddy could have been an option as well, like Xavier Walsh who went in the rookie draft on Wednesday. But Lowell and Stevens, if they got drafted together, a couple of South Warrnambool boys, they would have been absolutely wrapped with that. So would have had a nice connection there. But I think, probably steering to more run and speed, which a lot of clubs did this draft season, was a big tick for the Bombers.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, that wraps it up for the Mailbag today. Thanks, Mitch.
Thanks, Phoenix.
And don't forget, if you want to get involved in the Mailbag, you can follow us on Instagram and send some questions in through there. Or if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, we'll put up a community post and you can throw your talking point or your hot take or your question into the comments there. So thank you. Don't forget, you can catch all the latest AFL news at zerohannah.com, the #1 independent AFL news source.